Welcome to the Eagle Eye Podcast, the #1 show to bring you all things Club America in English.
Oh, what a strike! Club America!
Your hosts for today are Ivan Pineda, Cristian Rosendo, Alexis Juarez, and everyone's favorite cowboy, Dylan Jimenez.
Goal!
Now let's hit the field and start the show.
America!
What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another episode of the Eagle Eye Podcast. Welcome to our end of the season review here for the Lady Aguilas. We're going to be talking all things America Femenil. We're going to be recapping the atrocious season that was the 2021 Guardianes for our ladies. A lot of ups and downs this season, and to help me kind of culminate all of that together is none other than Brooklyn's very own Mr. AJ. AJ, how are you?
Doing good. We have to talk about the pain that is America Femenil for this season. But with the rumors that we have, hopefully there'll be some light now at the very end of the tunnel for them.
Definitely. And we'll get to that at the latter stage of this episode. So stay tuned with some of the rumors that are coming in and some of the rumors that are going out. Some big names being thrown around there for both categories. And obviously gives a little bit of optimism for the America Femenil fans going into this one. So we'll see what happens. But AJ, let's talk about what we're here to talk about. Mm-hmm. The atrocious season that was the Guardianes 2021. We came into the season very hopeful. We had some big objectives that we thought we were going to be able to fill, and we thought that this was a season that some of these players would come in and have a big game, a big step up. Didn't turn out to be that way. What do you think failed overall in this season? And if you had to give the ladies a grade, what would you give them?
It just seems like that passion and fire from the players that we saw from previous seasons before just was missing throughout the entire season. A reason to that? Oh no, could it really be Leo Cuellar? Maybe was he the issue? Felt like towards the end we were seeing some passion, but then when it went to the playoffs, it just dwindled down. That fire and that passion. Just I don't know. It was an up and down seasons. There were times we looked good. There were times we looked bad. And I feel like in this case, it was just like a bipolar season, really. Just mixed results. If I had to give a grade for this team, honestly, I think I did say a C- before, but I think I'll give them a D in this case, honestly, for how they make a Femenil played this season. Just it's the worst season we've had.
And because of it was the worst season we've ever had, I give him an F, AJ, because there was little to no heart out on that pitch. Obviously, there was some locker room issues. Things just didn't seem to go on the up and up the way we expected them to. Obviously, we had a lot of changes within the offseason. A lot of players left. A lot of new players came in. A lot of questionable players that were signed. And it was like, well, why are you bringing in this player if you're letting go of this player? So, I mean, that was already kind of an uphill battle. I feel like this America side never really got back on track after it got demolished in Monterrey. That Monterrey leg really, really left a scar on some of these players and this institution, unfortunately. Mm-hmm. Cuellar wasn't able to fix it. I mean, players like, for example, prime example, Dani Espinosa, just a player that never was herself again after that playoff match. And unfortunately, too, due to COVID, some of our players were out. We had unfortunate injuries. I mean, it seems that, the players we were banking on didn't step up to the moment. And that's the most unfortunate part about this. But, I mean, is there anything that we can take away from the season and try to shed a bit of light on and say, look, at least there's this to hold on to hope for?
It's really tough to say right now. I mean, if anything really... My hot take, we have a good squad. It's just I feel we don't have the manager for it to make it work. That's what I feel like. Some of these players that we do have, they're definitely capable of getting us to a final. The thing is, you just need to find that right manager, one that doesn't play around with the lineup and formations every single week in and week out. Just, it's difficult. While we can look at here and can play all we want, I'd say it's a stellar squad that we have. It just wasn't clicking throughout this entire season. Hopefully next season it could be different, especially hopefully we'll find a new manager at some point.
Yeah, look, we need to find a new manager. We need to get some of these players out. We're going to bring some players in. The real question is, will we be ever able to kind of build up to that chemistry that we know and love in America Femenil? I don't think we'll get it right away, especially bringing in a new manager and bringing in new players, depending on whether or not they have experience in the league. That's going to be a whole different that's going to be a whole different equation that America has to kind of formulate there. But as far as this season goes, if you had to name 3 players off the top of your head that you thought, well, these 3 players at least did all they could out on the pitch week in and week out, who would they be?
Renata Mascherelli, Jenny Farias, and Monica Rodriguez.
Really, Janelli falls in that line for you.
She does. I feel like she was one of the 3 players I say on this team that gave it their all in defense, especially Monica, as I feel like she's always the true captain that she's always been for America, week in, week out. Despite who we had, she'd always give her on. And Mascherelli, need I say more about her? Look how she did this season for us.
Yeah, if you had to give an MVP to a player this season, it definitely would be Renata Mascherelli.
No doubt about it.
And even though she was out for quite a while because of injury, she still came back as strong as ever and really held high the team spirit at times. And she would try to keep, as much at bay as she could. Obviously, you can only do so much when your defense doesn't want to help you. So, I mean, yeah, I definitely would give it to Renata Mascherelli. Interesting that you say Janelli Farias, although I would say that she was one of the more better players from this season. I did think she had a little bit of a rocky start because, she was adapting to this team, coming into it and trying to find her place in this squad. And obviously, too, you're playing with new players. You don't really know them as much. So there's an adaptation period that goes into that. But afterwards, yeah, she contributed. I mean, how many goals did she get this season, AJ? I believe 2 or 3?
If I'm not mistaken, she scored 3 goals this season. So for a defender, that's solid.
Yeah, that's some pretty good contributions. Obviously, you would have wanted more clean sheets, more shutouts from this defense, but at the same time, when your other players aren't helping you out, when the midfield's been a disaster, when all your team is playing kickball, it never really helps out in that aspect. So interesting. And yeah, like you said, I think these three players, I think, definitely go in the must stay category. I think that's definitely something that that we would definitely want to keep them there. But now I revert the question back and ask you, who are your top 3 players that you think had a terrible season? And there was plenty to pick from, but if you had to pick the top 3, who would you go for?
First off, I'm gonna go with, that's really difficult because a lot of players were not their greatest, but if I go ones that Anagabi Lozada, she was one of them. She's just, I feel like, just was not it this season. I go with Cascos as well. I just feel like she isn't the Cascos that I know and every other Americanista have seen in past seasons for America Femenil. And the third player, I gotta say, out of all of them, I'll have to go with Dani Espinosa for this season as well.
Interesting. Yeah, I agree with you. I give it to Anagabi, give it to Gas, and definitely Dani Espinosa, who was not herself, and that was unfortunate for us because that's where all our goals were coming from. And when your goal scorer is not present in your season, then that says something, and it was already an uphill battle, and now we had to do it again. It'll be interesting to see. I don't think she leaves the team, but I'm curious to see where she's going to end up playing regarding some of these players that are rumored to be coming in, and if she is still a number 1 candidate for that starting 11 spot. We'll have to wait and see. Obviously, a lot can change from here to the start of the new season, but it was unfortunate. But there's other names that we have to mention here, AJ, that unfortunately just did not step up to the mark. The biggest name in America Femenil was Jen Munoz. Coming into it, fan favorite. Everyone was expecting her to have the season of her life. Never really lived up to the hype for it because, unfortunately, she had that injury early on. Then she got COVID. And then she never really was herself afterwards. And that's kind of a misfortunate, line of events to happen to a player. But then, at the same time, you had other players coming in and stepping up big, like Eva. You know,
Mhm.
I think that is a player that maybe we didn't mention had the best season, but I think she was solid for the majority of this campaign. Um, and so I think she did take Jin's spot. Um, another player that we need to mention is let's see who else was in there. You already mentioned Kaz. Um, let's Pina. What's up with her? What happened this season?
Well, Maria Pina, I just knew she had an injury during the match against Toluca. If I'm not mistaken, that was in the fourth game of the season. And she was just AWOL throughout the majority of the season. We never really got any news like, yeah, why wasn't she featured on the bench until you had other sources throughout the league saying, yeah, she's out with an injury. We don't know where her timetable is. She's one of those players I feel like she could have been great help to the team, but I feel like because of the injury, there's a lot of questions being thrown at her. And so when we did see her play, it just seems like there was not a flow going. I'm not mistaken as well. She came out of retirement to come back to playing professionally. So there's that. That could be a reason to why, she just wasn't up to par maybe with all the other players or all the other forwards and America Feminine and to the rest of the league. They have all the experience of been doing this. Pina, she's been out for a while. As much hope as I had for her when they first announced, is like she could provide a lot of help to the team. She really only provided one goal, really, and that's just unfortunate. Just 4 games played this season. It's unfortunate when you had an injury like that happen to you. You can't say much, but out of those 4 games, it just seems like something's not clicking with her. When you just slot her into the lineup, just something from her is missing for it to
Yeah.
be a complete forward that America Femi desperately needs.
Yeah, we definitely need that, and we'll talk a little bit more about the forward position. But Jacob Leo saying, "Oh, sorry, Lau." I always get that wrong. But Jacob saying, "Is it true that Jen Munoz and Jocelyn Orgel are leaving?" Well, we're gonna address that a little bit later on, AJ. But rumor has it that one of these two ladies are leaving, and one of them has come out and said that they are not, or at least not officially face to face saying something directly, but something along in the Twitterverse has given us that extra hope that she is going to say. But all right, AJ, we've talked a little bit about some of the players that maybe let us down, some of the players that we thought had a pretty good, season in comparison to what the season was, even though at the end of the day, you win as a team, you lose as a team, and so this season was an utter failure, so you fail as a team, right? But let's talk a little bit more about the manager situation, because we came into this already with Cuellar walking on eggshells after the way the elimination was in last season against Monterrey. We knew that this one had to be a big one. What do you think things go wrong for him in the season where he just kind of loses the locker room and ultimately just doesn't have that kind of determination to get these ladies anywhere?
I just feel like it's the constant experimenting. It throws the flow off of a player, as the saying goes. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And I just feel like Cuellar just never got that. While I do understand in this league, you're always seeing teams experimenting with players in variety of positions, because something I've learned in women's soccer, and it's pretty interesting, that many of these players are versatile in the positions that they play in. You can put them as a left back, a left mid, a right mid, center mid, forward. They can play variety of positions. I feel like that's what I was trying to do. But when the objective is for you to win a title that we haven't done since 2018, and that's the demands of the boards give you, get into the playoffs, get to the final, win it. I just feel like where I just saw something different. It's like maybe this is the time for me to experiment. This season just goes to show, just please stop with that at that point. The fans are just tired with Leonardo Cuellar's games. Him constantly playing ringer musical chairs with that captain's armband, experimenting with the lineup. No one's gonna ever get their flow if you're gonna constantly switch them day in and day out every single game day, and it's annoying. And I just like with Cuellar, especially after that embarrassing defeat to Chivas at home in the Estadio Azteca 4-2. That was the point where people's like, I had enough of this man. And look what happened. He's gone. He's done a lot for America, yes. He's got his title. We had many great memories with them, with the team, and the results that we've gotten. But just like this season, it was it. If anything, he should have been sacked from last season. We got embarrassed by Rayadas, but it took long enough. Better late than never.
Well, yeah, but you say it was still late in the game. I think we should have maybe started the season a little bit more fresher than we did. And I mean, I'm going back to some of these results, and the beginning of the season, as much as we painted it a little bit bad, it wasn't the worst. We had one loss, 2 wins, and 2 draws within our first 5 games. So I mean, it was something manageable at that point. But then things just never really took off for America afterwards. Maybe a couple of good results here and there, but it's just nothing really to kind of solidify yourself and say, you know what, we're gonna do something. And I mean, if you want to sum up America Femenine's perfect season perfectly, I mean, just go back to that America Puebla matchup, in the game where you could have just gone out and played for your colors, but ended up losing 1-0 against them. But you're right. I think Cuellar's time definitely had already expired, and it's unfortunate that we kind of kept him going there. And I think we all know exactly why we kept him, right? That hierarchy that he has in Mexican women's football, because of what he's done with the national team, because of what he did with America, because of that championship. I think that gave him an extra couple more years. When in reality, I think we should have been a smarter institution and said, you know what, things aren't really working. Your tactics aren't really benefiting us. And we've made the Liga all the time, but you've only taken us to a final once. So I think that's where America should have kind of looked and been more objective. And look, this is not to say that all of this falls on Cuellar. Obviously, the players have a responsibility to do something out there on the pitch. But I also want to talk about the board of directors that didn't really step up and make any changes. One, with the Cuellar situation, and two, with some of these signings that we made. It felt like America was just trying to save a penny or two in the transfer market, AJ.
Yeah, Clara Carrion, I have no clue what she was doing. I mean, the players that we did get, some of them were questioned because they've either never played professionally. Well, they never played at the professional level. They have no experience in this league, or it's just their first, or just essentially now their first time playing in a professional soccer league. And just when I'm looking at, when you got players like Dani Flo, Maria Pina, Maria Pelayo, Lisbeth, Carmen Ramos, players, Diana Garcia. The only player that we've signed that has played in this league is Janelle Farias. Everyone else is just, it's their first time playing in this league, and you're just like, let's see what they can do. Diana Flores, despite her not scoring that many goals and painting her as the forward we were going to be, especially holding that number 9, she did provide with some assists. It seems like she was a team player, but did she help out with the goals? Not so much. 2 goals better than nothing. Maria Pina, it sucked that she got the injury, but at the same time, it's kind of just like, why we're bringing someone who just came out of retirement to not come play? What do you think the result's going to be? They're not going to blow up and just get you a whole bunch of goals in no time. Carmen Ramos, really unfortunate. She got an ACL injury. She never played a single game for America Femenina this season, and she's still out. Will she even be here by next season? Who knows? We might end up giving the same treatment that we did with Elisa Santos, who came back from injury, train with us next season. Yeah, bye. Thank you for everything they've done. Diana Garcia, she played college soccer in Mexico, and she's done well, actually. She's one of like the positive signs that we made. Another player, Maya Pelayo, she can ball. She looked good when she actually played in the games that we have started her or come off the bench. Looked good, but at the same time, why couldn't you use those spots, maybe 4 of them, to get someone from the league, any team, because they played at the professional level. They have years, or it's already been their first year. They have an idea what it's like. When you're taking those spots to bring in players that have never played in this league, what do you think was going to happen? I feel like that's like another experiment in this case, or just to save a penny. And I feel like that just added more to Guerrero's like, all right, now I'm going to experiment with them more. When every America fan is sick and tired of that, they say, can we for once just have a starting 11 that will play throughout the next 17 games of the season? I understand that with the transfers.
And I think that's one of the main reasons why a lot of us were a little bit upset. Is obviously you're America, right? And we've always had this kind of culture that we're the type of team that signs big name players, game changing players there's been a shift in that culture within the past couple of years in the institution. I'm not just talking America Femenino, I'm talking about the men's side as well, right? Where it's more of we're looking at the talent portion of this, not really so much as what you've done, but what you can do. And I get that. That's one positive way of looking at it, because at the end of the day, we're trying to export as well. But to say that, I say this: you can't always try to look for a hidden gem. For example, Jen Munoz is a perfect example, right? Came into the league first time, hidden gem, amazing player, right? But you're not always going to hit the mark on every type of player. So you can't always bank on those types of transfers. And you got to be a little bit more smarter. You have to be a little bit more kind of creative with how you go about building your roster. There are some names that I feel like we shouldn't have let go. For example,
Marcela Valera is one of them.
Yeah.
I understand why. She's very solid in defense. Can play as a midfielder as well. And I feel like every single game she's played on, she's fought, and we let her go to Santos. Why? I have no clue to why we've done that. Letting over play like Lucero Cuevas, despite her, not just lowering down her levels recently in seasons, but she still had something in her. We let her go to Leon. I understand that. Esmeralda Verdugo is another one as well. Solid midfielder. Let her go as well. Some of the transfers we made from last season, like you mentioned, Ian, very questionable. And what do we got for replacements?
Even more questionables.
Questionable replacements. Like, why though? Yeah, maybe two of those players, it's like they're great, good. The other four, very questionable. It's like, what we're gonna do here.
It's like America Femenina says, I'm banking on 10 players, and out of those 10 players, 3 gave you. 4 maybe at most gave you end product. That's 6 players that didn't, AJ. That's more than half. So we gotta fix something here. And I hope that the people in charge of this are feeling the heat and are feeling the pressure, because you can't go and represent America and have the season you just did. It's a little bit unexcusable.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that they have to go out there, fix it, get the right names, which we'll talk about that, who exactly will potentially be coming in. And unfortunately, let go of some of the names that just haven't really, pulled their own weight this last season and maybe seasons prior. It'll be interesting to hear from AJ right now who he thinks those players are going to be. But I mean, overall, this season was utter pain, like we kept mentioning on the podcast, this week in and week out. AJ, I don't think there was ever a week where we came into this very much optimistic, right? It just felt that this season was slowly but surely tanking, and it really felt like we were on a sinking ship. Little by it's with Cuellar kind of captaining all of it. I think the moment we kind of all realized that this was kind of game over was when at halftime he literally just went over to the players, said like 1-2 words, clapped his hands, and then left. And it was like,
that was half-assed of him. He really just said, "You know what to do, I guess." And I'm like, "What do you mean they know what to do? They need you for guidance. You're the man with the tactics and the plans. You're the figure, actually." And you're just like, "I'm out. I'll see you for another 45 minutes."
You're like, "All right, back to." I was like, "Come on."
You know what really summarized the season for America Femenina in one gif? When I think a foul happened, and then I think it was Danny Silas who kicked the ball up in the air, and then Guerrero had his head down like that. It's like that summarizes right there. And it was at that very moment he knew, I'm getting sacked. That's it. It's done. Well, not even that. Not even wasn't gonna get sacked by the board. He's like, I'm doing it myself. I'm done.
He's like, I'm quitting. I'm putting my 2 weeks notice. Yeah, it was a rough season. But hopefully, I think through failure you learn a lot of stuff, and I do hope that America was taking notes, and now it comes to the off season. Some of these ladies will have a well rest, and will have a good vacation, and come back a little bit stronger. Who will stay, who will go, it's still up in the air, but we'll talk a little bit right now in just a second. Rumors, because the rumor mill has been going a little bit crazy, AJ, and the season isn't even over. We still yet to decide a championship. a champion this season, and yet we're already talking about our reinforcements. So we'll talk about that in just a second. I know everyone's a little bit anxious to hear about that, but kind of to wrap up and sum up this end of the season, this Guardianes 2021 for America Femenil, is there anything else you'd like to mention?
Nothing else really. Just
I do. I have one last thing to mention. America, if you're listening to this by any chance, fix those damn broadcasts on your damn YouTube channel. This is ridiculous, AJ. Like, you want to sum up the season? That is the sum up of the season. How are you going to make me watch something that is not only lagging, but I got a commentator that doesn't even know half of the things he's saying. He doesn't have no motivation to be there. It's just like the cameraman doesn't even know what he's doing either because he's just moving the stuff around. I'm just like, why? Why are you putting us through even more pain than we need to?
Those camera angles are also questionable. Oh my god, man, this is why I just rely on the bootleg streams again at times because they're their true MVPs. Week in and week out, every single season, they just got the streams over at Mexico where they're putting them through the end in Mexico. I was like, I'd rather watch this instead. Thank you. So
yeah, even if you gotta go through the whole Hana chant, like I'll take that over this wonky freaking high schoolers putting together a freaking stream. It was terrible.
Maybe there's an internship they're doing probably.
6th graders could do a better Twitch stream than what they are doing on the pitch. This is terrible. And there's not even a rewind button or anything. Oh, something just fell. But yeah, it's terrible. Terrible, AJ, terrible. But that was my last thing to say. Hopefully we fix that. America, I've said time and time again, if you guys need somebody to come in and narrate the games, we will work pro bono if we have to. Believe me, we just want to give the people something better than a guy going, and she has the ball, and she passed it, and she lost it.
Sounds like golf, except it just in a quieter tone.
Yeah. Comments. I'm just like, just mute this guy. I'd just rather hear the ladies just yelling at each other instead. It's terrible. But again, me and AJ are more than happy to do commentary. All right? More than happy. So hit up our lines. You guys know where to contact us. But yeah, I mean, that pretty much sums up the season, right? Painful, dreadful, and hopefully one to forget. And the only way to do so is by having an even better season. Next this upcoming apertura, whatever that's gonna look like. I think we'll be a little bit objective as to how we expect that season to end, but a lot has to kind of happen between today and the start of that season, right? We still need a new manager. We know that there's gonna be people leaving, there's gonna be people coming, and after that we'll make a pretty good assessment. But it's fair to say that we want to make a deeper Liguilla run than just this quarterfinal. So we'll have to wait and see. But again, America Femenil, they disappoint us, but alas, we still love them and we still hope for the best. All right, AJ, before we move on into the next segment to wrap everything up, I do want to remind everyone that today's episode is brought to you guys by Foot Cult. If you guys haven't done so already, make sure you guys check out footcult.com and use the discount code EEP at checkout to get 10% off. Again, that is discount code EEP at checkout to get 10% off all Foot Cult products. Again, thank you, Foot Cult, for sponsoring today's episode. All right. AJ, let's kind of wrap things up with a little bit of optimism coming into this next season, right? It's a couple months away, and we thought we'd have a little bit of a vacation, but to be honest, AJ, that doesn't seem to ever happen around here. We always have something to talk about, whether it's the national team, whether it's Gold Cup, whether it's Nations League, or whether it's the off season in regards to America Femenil now, with everything going on in the transfer rumor mill. So, as of right now, and you tell me if I'm right or if I'm wrong, or add more to this if you want. As of right now, the two biggest names rumored to be leaving was, like Jacob said, Jen Munoz and Jocelyn Orgel, right? The two big names that have been rumored around. That rumor was laid to bed a little bit as far as Jocelyn Orgel goes, because there was a tweet that came out, said that this was a lie. She's still under contract and that she will be with America next season. And we got the confirmation via Jocelyn Orgel herself, by liking that tweet and basically stamping saying, I'm here to stay.
Thank the Lord, because I was so scared. I'm like, oh my Lord. I'm like, do not tell me we're going to not have to go scrambling around this entire league. Wants to play in defense because we're in dire need. Because if we did lose Justin Orgel in that position, I'm just like, it's not looking good because our defenders were short on defenders. I don't even think we have proper backups on our bench. But just to hear that news, I'm just happy to hear. And thanks to Guillermo Zamaripa, the founder of Marketing Jersey, who came out with that tweet to put the rumors to rest, which I thank him for that. With Jennifer Munoz, though, it's still unknown to whether she's going to be staying or leaving. Supposedly, someone did say it might have been due to personal reasons, and whatever that reason is, understandable. But it's still unknown to whether she's going to be with America Femenil with the upcoming season or not.
Jacob shares your optimism, saying, like AJ said, thank the Lord that Jocelyn is staying. And yes, very much so. The thing with Jen is a little bit more tricky, right? It's a little bit more complicated as to whether or not she's going to be staying in America Femenil, right? I put it at about an 80% that she's leaving. I could be wrong, but I think from the hints that she's been giving out, I think that it's kind of clear. She has traveled. She's back here in California. So is Jocelyn. But they're on vacation, right? They're able to come back home, fly, check in with their family. So that's not really a red alarm. We expect these players to go back home whenever the offseason happens. The reason why I say Jen might be leaving is because some of the Instagram posts that she had. And then whenever America Femenil were eliminated by Tigres, a lot of people were posting stuff, and Jen was liking it, retweeting it. And you know, a lot of these guys, people are saying like, oh, don't worry, you're going to get it next season. You're going to get it next season. Like, you're going to be better than ever, Jen. Like you're going to bring us that title and this and that. And there's, you know, she would retweet stuff, she would like stuff, and she would even maybe quote retweet it with like a yellow blue heart or like an Aguilas, this and that, right? Kind of just showing a little bit of affirmation towards it. But it always sat wrong with me a little bit. It felt like it was more of a goodbye message than it was more so than you're right, we'll be back stronger next season. So for me, that's why I think Jen will be leaving. Now, again, I could be wrong because AJ, we were thinking the same thing about Eva Gonzalez last season before the season was about to begin. A lot of rumors saying that she was going to be going back home due to personal reasons. And we were ready to say, like, what happened? Like, America can't let her go. She, you know, and somehow, some way they worked things out. And she stayed. Now, do I think that this is going to say the same thing with Jen Munoz? I don't know. We don't know the circumstances. We don't even know the circumstances of Eva Gonzalez. We just know that you know, it was lined up like that. America Family was able to come to an agreement, and something happened that she was able to stay. With Jen is a whole different situation. Again, we don't know what the personal reasons are. We're not here to speculate what the personal reasons are either. We're just here to kind of give you guys the information that we know, and that is that this might be at an 80% that she might be leaving. We'll keep you guys updated because obviously she's a fan favorite. No one wants to see her leave. And even us, we got to interview her, right? She was on this podcast. She spoke about being America. She loves the club. She loves this institution. But you can only imagine what a season like this weighed on her personally, because we mentioned AJ, she was, you know, down with COVID, that fracture to her wrist. Obviously, you know, a lot of uphill battles for her. Don't know what, you know, how things are back home. So, you know, it's fair to say that, you know, from a personal perspective, then, you know, if they got to go back and she's got to go take care of business, and so be it. But it's one thing for sure is that this America fandom does not want to see her leave. And we'll have to wait and see what America's capable of doing. I don't think they want her to leave either. I don't even think the league would want her to leave. Let's just put it at that perspective, right? She is a big name. She attracts a lot of you know, a lot of people from the States as well. So we'll have to wait and see. But as far as that, Jen Munoz, I would say more like 1 foot out the door rather than, you know, 1 foot in. So we'll see what happens there, AJ. But would you agree it's a big loss if we do?
It's a big loss. She's done. And remember that first season that she had in America, absolutely blew up. Had many articles written about her, being even seen as one of the faces of the league and the face of America Femenil, if I can say so myself. She's done a lot, and just like throughout the season, it's been tough on her. You just seen her minutes just fluctuating throughout the league. She hasn't been getting that many play time. Put in different positions as well on the field that I feel like she doesn't feel accustomed to, especially with COVID. Players don't come back the same after that, especially with injuries. So it's difficult, really, to just get yourself back to 100%, especially after having that many complications. So we can only see what will happen at the end. Only time would tell. Every America fan would love for her to stay, and especially the league. But if she has to leave and attend back home due to personal reasons, then so be it. It is her decision. She has, and whatever she has in life comes first. In this case,
Definitely. So we'll wish her the best, and hopefully our friend Miss Jen Munoz can stay on the podcast. As if she
invite her again.
Hey, Jen, you're always welcome to come on the podcast. Look, we'll even let you host the show. But yeah, hopefully she's able to stay at America, and kind of have a rebound season from what happened in this last one. But as far as any other players that are rumored to be leaving, AJ, what have you heard?
I have not honestly heard. I mean, there was a rumor from way before that there was a tweet that JD Gutierrez posted. It was a laughing emoji right before the game versus Tigres at away was going to start, and they immediately delete that. That many people were just saying at this point that's how she's going to be, and we're just saying they just would want her out of the club. The rumor I did here before, she'd either get loaned down to Necaxa or to Santos. There hasn't really been much talk about her since, and for any other player of the team, to be honest, there really hasn't been much about them either. So I feel like towards the later, maybe by the time the season's completely done, when the champion is crowned of the league, we'll probably get more news for the team in the meantime. So for the most part, most of these players I think are staying.
For now, AJ, I think we're gonna have a lot of movement in this offseason.
Oh, no doubt about
it. As is the usual case for America Finland, because it's like we always offload 10, we always bring in 10.
Mm-hmm.
One time we always offloaded like almost 15, no, AJ? Something like that?
It was, I think, like 12. I think it's like the most that we've ever like taken out of a squad. I remember something like that. That was insane.
Yeah, look, things move weird in the American family, but we'll keep you guys up to date with everything that happens. But I don't know. I mean, we'll see. Looks like Jacob remembers that tweet saying, yeah, JD Gutierrez tweeted the laughing emojis and deleted it right away. There you go. And going back to the whole Jen Munoz thing, she did cry after the Tigres game, which again is also maybe an affirmation of her leaving the club. We'll have to see. Again, this is all speculation, and that's all we can do at this moment is speculate. And let's talk about more speculations or rumors. Not so much departures, but so much as players coming in. It seems that there's two names floating around there. One is someone who's coming back looking for her goal reign title, and that is Lucero Cuevas potentially returning back home. We'll talk a little bit more about that in just a second. And the second name is a player in Europe playing for Real Sociedad. AJ, who could that be?
That is Kiana Palacios. She plays for the Mexico women's national team. And as Ivan mentioned, she does play for Real Sociedad over there in Spain. She really hasn't been getting that many playing time for that. I think if I'm not mistaken, last time I checked, she's had 10 games played with 0 goals scored. And as well, she has now renovated her contract with Sociedad, and she is linked currently with America. And there's apparently as well that Tigres are interested in her as well. And considering this as well, Kiana Palacios is friends with Jocelyn and Jen. So who knows? Maybe they can try to, they link up in California. They're just like, hey, come to America, which I would definitely love. That'd be a big upgrade in the forward spot.
And you know what? The most funniest thing is that when I would go on Jen's or Jocelyn's live, they would be, with her, with Kiana. And everyone would be like, oh, come to America, Kiana, come to America, come to America. And I think like Jen would tell like, oh yeah, like you should come to America and this and that. And it's funny because it's like now it's happening, but it's like one could be leaving the other way. So it's a bit unfortunate, but we'll see. Maybe that Kiana's news and signing might just be what keeps Jen here. Who knows? But again, though, you can't discredit the fact that this is a great potential signing for America, right? Player that has the potential to be playing in Europe. Unfortunately, maybe not getting the game minutes, can come back to Mexico. Well, not come back to Mexico because she hasn't played here, but come to Mexico, do some good job at America, maybe potentially again boost a potential move to Europe. But I think she wants to keep herself in the eye of the Mexican national team, and what better way to do it than to come at America? So we'll see. We'll keep you guys updated. That rumor, it seems plausible because of the whole contract situation. But again, it falls back to what can we offer this player, not just in regards to salary, but in regards to living over there to living over there to over here in Mexico City and all of that stuff, which I think is something that they'll have to go into contract negotiations. But again, someone that we could be really excited about. And if she does come, then great. The more national team players that we can have on this team, the better. Tigres, back off. All right, you guys do not need to sign anyone else anymore. Okay, so what are you guys doing? All right, do you guys want competition or not? This is frustrating me. They're on the verge of maybe potentially securing their fifth title,
Fourth title.
fourth title. It's ridiculous. Okay, ridiculous. Which, by the way, let's be honest. I think they will. But yeah, that's the Keanu stuff that we have, and then the last big name that has been surfaced around is the return of Lucero Cuevas. What do you have on that, AJ?
All she really just posted on Twitter, if I can get the bookmark, she see aquí vamos, and she has the signing, emote along with the prayer emoji as well, and that's what everyone's speculating. She's going back to America, and there was a rumor, I think, right as soon as the season was over, she was linked with the club, and everyone knows Lucero Cuevas' name in America. She was our former all-time leading goal scorer until Daniela Espinosa took over, and to hear a name like that going back to America would be amazing. She hasn't had the greatest time in Tijuana when she went on loan. And in Leon, yeah, she definitely not had expectations. Only, I think, if I'm not mistaken, she's played around 14 games, only scored 1 goal. Maybe she truly does belong back in a team where it truly all started for her. How she got that Golden Boot award. And I think she really misses the colors of an America jersey. For her to come back, that'd be one of the greatest chances we have. A great gift for us in compensation for this season. We get her back, I'll take it.
Yeah, and look, a lot of people might be hesitant to this move. I know I am, because of you just mentioned it, the poor stats. She has been poor in Tijuana and even more poor in Leon, right? 14 games, 1 goal. That screams a forward that is losing their touch or something. But the one thing that does give me a little bit of hope is that she wants this. She wants this return. Like, remember when America was getting thrashed and she posted a tweet saying, like, put me on the field, like, return me. Yeah, like there's a motivation of her to be wanting to be wearing the America colors again. And I think that in itself gives you a little bit of inspiration that, okay, she's going to come in and she's going to try to ball out, right? And if we can give her the right teammates to accompany her, then I think we can have something very special here. And again, it's all going to fall as to who the manager is, what players we bring in, if she's even signed and all that stuff. But I would really, really hope that if she does come, that she comes in with that same hunger and determination that she tweeted. So we'll see. But I mean, there's a lot of optimism with her return. I know that you are. I know I am. Dylan is very much optimistic about her returning as well. But there's a name that you mentioned earlier today that if we are going to bring Lucero Cuevas back, there is also a name that we should also bring back.
In every team that Lucero Cuevas has gone to, Esmeralda Verdugo came with her as well. When we sent her to Tijuana, she went to Tijuana as well. When we transferred Cuevas to Leon, Verdugo was also at Leon as well. And I feel like it makes sense, a smart move for us that we do bring Verdugo back. She was solid in midfield, and as well, if the entire Gemino situation is true and she happens to be leaving, it only makes sense for her to bring Verdugo back. And hey, that's a backup in midfield that we can use as well. Whether we're not going to have Podcasten or Ava in, you got someone like Verdugo who is capable of playing a defensive role and an offensive role at times. So I wouldn't mind her coming back. If this is what can motivate Cuevas to get back to the goal scoring leader that she was at America, then so be it. I like that Verdugo. She is known when she takes a free kick. She has a rocket of a kick. So hey, that'll be a win-win for us if that's the case.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it'd be great to have kind of get the game back together and see if they can pull it off one more time. But again, we'll have to wait and see. Obviously, there's a long off season ahead for America Femenina. If you guys want to keep up to date with everything, follow us over on Instagram, follow us over on Twitter, follow us over on Facebook at Eagle Eye Podcast. We're going to keep you guys up to date with as much possible with America Femenina. News is hard to come by, AJ. Not like the men's. The men's get like everything leaked. But for the ladies, you got to like turn over 17 stones and you got to drill a hole and you got to like, it's like trying to search for gold sometimes or for oil. It's a little bit difficult, right? But we'll see. We'll try to get as much information as we can. We'll try to get as much credible information. That's the true tricky part about it, the credibility. Because there's some, reporters out there that will say anything nilly-willy to just get some likes and some retweets. But hey, there isn't that much credibility towards it, i.e., the Jocelyn Orejel example. But hey, you guys know what we're talking about. Look, at the end of the day, we want this team to be built for the right thing, right? The objective has to be a title. Will that be the objective right away? I don't think so, because we have to have an adaptation period with the new manager, with the new people. But that's what we're saying with Solari, and look what he was able to turn around. So you never know with these ladies, right? You never know. Well, AJ, anything else to add on before we kind of wrap it up?
Not really. I just want to say once again, I can't believe another season has passed by for me covering America Femenil and being able to actually introduce gifts into our game day tweets as well, which is really exciting and always fun for me to do. And I just thank you once again for bringing me onto the team to cover everything Lady Aguilas and for the men's team. And I especially have a lot of fun with the women's side of things in America.
Definitely. And look, AJ, like I mentioned it to you last podcast, I mentioned to you again, half of the things we did would have not been able to do without you. So, my man, thank you so much for coming on. I know people really appreciate your the intellectual part about it, your gifs, excuse me. Everything that you bring to the table, really, man. It's been amazing. Glad that you were on. You even got to host a Clásico Nacional podcast.
I still cannot believe that actually happened. The moment you told me I'm gonna arrive late, you have to host it. I'm like, oh God, it's already time. And I've only been here for 2 seasons, and I'm like, okay, well,
it happens, man. But you did an amazing job. You keep doing a great job. And look, again, I know from me and from all the guys and from everyone out here listening, we thank you so much for the work you're doing, and keep it up. I know we got a big season ahead and a big off season too. So as much as we want a little bit of a break, it doesn't seem like we get that with America. All right, man. Well, this has been the end of the season. Something to forget about, hopefully, with a good season up ahead. Even though it was fun. It was great. We're glad that all of you guys were able to join us, and to everyone that kind of, went through the ups and downs alongside us. Thank you so much. We'll be back in just a couple of weeks or maybe in a month's time. We'll see whenever things start rolling up for America Femenil, but we'll be back to talk all things Lady Aguilas on this show again. But until then, you guys have a wonderful time. Take care. Please wear your masks. And as always, until next time, Arriba la America. Good night.
Ladies and gentlemen, this was another production of the Eagle Eye Podcast, the #1 source for all things Club America in English. Make sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Eagle Eye Podcast and get all the latest news and coverage. And subscribe to our podcast wherever it is you may listen.